Hello, this is my Principles and Problems of Coaching interview. The person that I will be interviewing today is Coach Benjamin Gruber. He is the current assistant coach for the men's ACHA Division I hockey team. So let's dive straight into this. So the way I began my interview was I had a series of 12 questions, and I grouped each question that I felt was compatible with each other into two questions into one. And that is kind of how I laid out my PowerPoint slides. So to begin, the first question that I asked was, what made you want to be a coach? And is coaching something that you always wanted to do? Now, when I asked Gruber this, his response was interesting. He told me that coaching was really never something he thought about doing. He was a former player slash goalie here at the WVU men's ACHA D1 hockey team. His final season was last year with the Mountaineers, and he told me he was at the end of his college career here at WVU, and he was offered a position to be the assistant coach. He went on later to then say, I knew I wanted to stay around the sport longer just because I wasn't ready to give it up, and the coaching position just kind of fell into my lap. From his remarks and what I was able to gather, clearly there is a passion that Gruber does have for hockey. He didn't want his final years of playing here at WVU to be his final year of hockey in general. So from the time he was given the offer until now, he has stated that he's been very enthusiastic and very grateful for the position that he's been in. However, coaching originally was not something that he planned on doing himself. So I then proceeded to ask him more school-related topics in terms of, does your degree help you to become a better coach? And have you taken any courses to become a better coach? And the response that I got from him, I was very pleased with. He went on to say that although his degree does not align with coaching, he does have a degree in biomedical engineering. And the reason why I was impressed by this is he later then goes on to say, it teaches you how to work with a team. A lot of assignments are team projects, and you learn how to fit into a team, whether you're the team leader or the guy who gets stuff done. It's all about learning your role and the goal, and how you want to get successful with the end product with what you're given is very similar to coaching. So overall, the statement gives a very good insight on his thought process when coaching, as it shows from his degree, he has learned how to take the units, in this case, the units are players, and put them into a system that is going to allow for success for the team as a whole. And what he does is he finds players that fit into that role. That way, when he puts them together, they complete the puzzle, and it's not fitting a square peg into a round hole. The next question I had for him was, what ways do you motivate your athletes, and how did you develop this? He told me the biggest thing that you have to do is you have to keep people engaged and interested in what's going on. You have to pique their interests. He genuinely believes that people inherently want to learn, and everyone learns in their own time. And if you want to keep learning, you have to keep them interested. And he then later on goes to say that he wants people to keep learning, even if it's the smallest increment. But the key to doing that is keeping their engagement from the very beginning all the way until the very end of the season. The next two questions I had for him were, how has your coaching style changed over the past year? And what is a personal philosophy that you think about when coaching? Now, obviously, Coach Gruber has only been a coach since he was offered this position he told me around August. So since August till now, he said that he's quote unquote, I started off like I was one of the guys on the team, but now it's starting to get a little more tightened up and strict. I try to give my input in places where I feel like I can. What I like about this is he shows that even though he's new to coaching, he understands that as the assistant, you can't give your insight into every single area of coaching right off the bat because you are not the main coach. The players listen to you. However, the main coach's role is to guide and direct players in every scenario, whereas the assistant, as Coach Gruber mentions, is to guide and direct them in places where he feels like he can. Now, more on his personal philosophies of coaching. He goes on to state that one of his favorite quotes is leave no stones unturned. He said, this means to me you have to try everything to be a successful team. He stated that going back to his degree and being able to figure out which players fit into teams and into roles on that team, it really is necessary to leave no stone unturned, and you have to try every possible line combination, every possible strategy, whether it's on the penalty kill or power play. And from my observations, I have observed that Coach Gruber displays a high level of growth for what it means to be as a coach. This is just because when he first started, he stated that he wanted to be one of the guys and he wanted the players to like him. However, he realized that dynamic doesn't work for team success and that he needed to change something up in order to go about and improve in the system that he has right now. I then go on to ask, what do you do in the off season to ensure success during the regular season? And what are some challenges you face as a coach that you were not expecting originally? To quote Gruber directly, he says, to be honest, I found out when the season started that I was going to be working with the team. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to create any off-season workout plans. So from that perspective, just because he's still relatively a new coach, the off season wasn't really something he was able to access before this regular season. So from that perspective, I can't discredit him for not having anything because he was not in the position that he's in right now. He then goes on to say, for the challenges that he wasn't expecting to face originally is the management of how you develop players. Learning different development styles was tough in the beginning, and what may work for one player may not work for another. It's all about how you communicate. To me, being able to adjust your coaching style to each new person and cater the way that you teach something to somebody is a skill that takes a lot of time to develop as a coach. And the fact that Gruber is able to display this at such a early stage in his career is indicative of future success and the ability to think on the fly and be able to adapt different styles of learning for each player, which shows tremendous character as a coach. The final two questions that I had for Coach Gruber were, who inspires you to be a better coach? And the second one was, do you have a favorite memory from this year so far? So he first goes on to say that, honestly, it's the players under me that motivate me to get better and coach. I want to leave the program better than when I started. As a player myself, to be able to hear a coach say something like that and have their motivation for showing up every single day and wanting to be better, having that be on a player is very motivating to know that your coach is is a part of the team and wants success just as much as you do, if not even more in some cases. And to have a leader demonstrate that is very powerful for the team to be able to push forward throughout the regular season. He then goes on to say that his favorite memory of the team so far was getting his first win against Alabama. They were the last team I played against here as a player at WVU, so getting the win was nice. As I stated earlier, Coach Gruber was a former goalie here at the WVU men's ACHA hockey team, and the last team that he was able to play was Alabama. And then, as fate would have it, the very first team that they played this year was Alabama. So to be able to get a win after beating them in the last time as a player, and then beating them as the first time as a coach, that must have been a very powerful, confident experience for him that I'm sure he'll remember for a very long time. That is the end of the list of questions that I had for Coach Gruber. My overall takeaway from this is that even though Coach Gruber is still a young, developing coach, he has a lot of the qualities that a coach needs to have in order to develop a successful team. And from what I've gathered here so far, I'm confidently able to say that in the future, if coaching is something he wants to continue to do, he will definitely have success in the future. Thank you.